All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today. So excited to be here on a Friday because I love Fridays. I love every day, quite frankly. Fridays are special, though, because it brings us to the weekend. They're fun. They're fantastic. They're also football Fridays, and we get to talk about football. Quite frankly, I'd like to talk about football 24/7, 365. And I'll be honest with you, there's no one I'd rather talk to about it than my broadcast partner, voice of the Utes. Um, he is the director of broadcasting at the University of Utah. None other than Bill Riley is joining the show right now. Of course, Bill is brought to us by Handy and Handy. Bill, welcome to Friday. Welcome to the show. And how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you to Preston and Garrett Handy for sponsoring this segment. Big firm experience, small firm attention at Handy and Handy. I'm doing great. How are you?
Very good. So fun. I enjoy when I get to fill in for Sean, and of course, it's always fun to talk with you. And we're going to talk about some football. So here we go. I'm curious. I saw this report, and it's someone actually said, and I think it was Reese Davis who was doing a preseason prediction with another announcer who I didn't know, and this guy said, "Look, I'm picking Utah to win the Big 12." And I'm like, and I'm seeing kind of some things, Utah got some votes in the AP top 25. They were just kind of outside the top 25. And I hear people like they're saying, you kind of watch out for Utah. Utah's kind of right around the corner. As I've listened, as I've watched, as I've kind of thought through this team, I'm kind of maybe agreeing with them. Am I crazy? Am I drinking the Kool-Aid? What do you think are the fortunes of this Utah football program this year?
Well, I don't think you're crazy. I don't think there's a definitive pick for the Big 12 this year. So I think Utah, you can absolutely lay out a case for Utah being a team that could absolutely win it this year. They weren't far off last year. They were actually a pretty good team last year that had just well below average quarterback play. They were very deficient at one particular position, and that position just happened to be the most important position on the field. So, no, I don't. I think the momentum's been gathering for Utah really since right around media day, a month and a half ago. And I think this is a really good team that if they get the quarterback play they're expecting to, will be right in the mix. Now, Texas Tech is very good. Arizona State is very good. Kansas State is very good. And you might make a case Baylor's in that group as well. But I absolutely think Utah's got a chance to get back to where we thought they would be last year. We just didn't know last year that the quarterback play would be so poor, comparatively speaking. And I think that absolutely there's a case to be made for Utah. But like I said, there's a case to be made for a few other teams too.
Yeah, I would agree. I really like Utah, and I do, and I like the kind of vibe that's going on. I believe this defense is going to play well. I want to start with the defense though, and Coach Whittingham, he's an interesting person when you interview him because he's very honest, and he doesn't like to tell you things unless he's really definitive about them. And he mentioned the other cornerback, the one position that they're trying to fill, and to this point, it's been, there's been a lot of guys. We got a lot of guys competing, but he said Jake Cotton was the guy. And what are your thoughts about that situation and that statement from Coach Whittingham?
Well, I don't think he said he's the guy. I think he said he is separated, unless he said something today that I didn't hear. I think he said Cotton has separated himself a little bit from Don Saunders and Rock Caldwell. Those three guys, the three transfers, have been kind of battling for that spot opposite of Elijah Davis. We know Smith Snowden's going to start, whether it's outside or in the slot. I think I'd prefer the slot. But Blake Cotton, who played 3 years at UC Davis, was in the 1AA playoffs with UC Davis a year ago, has had a really good fall camp. So is Saunders and so is Caldwell. But I think Kyle said the other day that Cotton has maybe separated himself just a little bit. What it tells me is that they've got good depth at that other spot, which, as we found out last year, we thought the young man from Georgia Tech was going to step in and be that guy. And then in the first game, he ripped up his knee and it ended up being Elijah Davis. So I think you've got to have some good spot. But I think they've had a really good competition this fall. And here's the thing. They're all big corners, Scott. Cotton
Right.
6'2", Saunders is 6'4", Caldwell 6'3". Another guy who may factor in as the year goes along is J.C. Hart, the Auburn transfer. J.C. is like 6'3" as well. So they've got some big corners. I mean, Scooby Davis is good size at 6'1" on the other side, but goodness gracious, they've got some size on that one side. But when you go out to practice and watch them a little bit, Cotton's had a good fall camp.
Another thing, yeah, I mean, I'm very happy about the secondary. That's what I mean. You have Teo Johnson, you have Scooby Davis, you have Rabbit Evans, you have Smith Snowden, and then what's this other corner? But and you do, and that's what I've seen. I've seen a lot of guys that look really good. I mean, they look the part. They just look good physically. They look like dudes, and so yeah, I love when guys look like dudes because they usually are, and so that I'm really excited. The other thing that it was interesting and is interesting to me is this defensive tackle situation, and I have a bias. I want Poo Poo to be the guy because I just want to say Poo Poo, and maybe that's a bad, maybe that's selfish on my part, but Coach Whittingham spoke of him. They spoke of Kafusi. Where do you think they're landing with this defensive tackle situation? Because that's kind of one of the, I guess, maybe question marks on the defense.
Well, they play 4 or 5 guys, so I think you and I are both going to get a chance to say Poo Poo a few times this year. For those that don't know, Poo Poo Sepulona is a recruit out of St. Louis High School in Hawaii. He only really began playing football a couple of years ago. He was a stud basketball and volleyball player. In fact, he was a 2-time state player of the year in basketball. He's 6'2", about 275 right now. So he's a little undersized at tackle for now, but he's just a freakishly athletic kid. So he's going to play. I think you're going to see Kafusi a little bit, but Viamahi, Vakalahi, Lea'ea, I think you're going to see all those guys rotate through because what Utah likes to do and what you'll see Luther Ellis do and Morgan Scalley do is keep those bodies fresh. So I think you'll see 4 or 5 guys play, but Poo Poo's been one of the real breakout guys during fall camp. He's had a really good fall camp, and when people get a look at this kid, he's not super big, but he's athletic and he's got good explosion. So I think you'll see him as part of the rotation, as things begin here in about 2 weeks.
And depth is such a key. Like you watch the years that this team has won championships, got to the championship, it's because of that depth, and they were able to keep people fresh late into the season. So they're playing really good football in November, and it's just a huge key. And so having a lot of guys that you can rotate through is just a special luxury. And I think something that maybe Coach Whittingham was a little worried about because of the transfer portal and kind of losing some guys. But it looks like that part of the ball's pretty shored up. One of the other things he said, Bill, that was interesting, Coach Whittingham, he said, we got our seven or 8 guys that we've identified as the ones that are going to get all the reps at wide receiver. And I thought that was an interesting statement. And I think it's a smart strategy personally. Like you gotta kind of just pick the horse that you're gonna ride with and ride. And so who are those guys? He didn't really specifically say, but do you know who the maybe 7 or 8 guys that are really going to get a shot here at this wide receiver position?
I mean, I think the hierarchy is still to be determined, or they're determining that. The 7 or 8 guys are, they're the more experienced guys like Tobias Merriweather, who transferred in from Cal, Larry Simmons, who transferred in from Southern Miss, Dadrian Zipper, who was here a year ago, who's had a good fall camp, Ryan Davis, who was in the system at New Mexico a year ago, Creed Whittemore, Justin Stevenson. I think those are these are guys that have all played, Scott, and played at a high level. So I think those are the guys, and that they've identified. Luca Caldarella, who's been in this system, Luca, of course, solid player. It's really now figuring out, what the hierarchy is. Who are those guys? This is a term you've probably heard a million times. Who's stacking good days? Who's not just having a good practice or a good scrimmage, but who's having multiple good practices, good scrimmages, things like that? Because, lots of guys, as you know, especially in the NFL where you have lots of bodies in camp, guys will pop on a given day. But what coaches want to see is, do you pop 2 or 3 days in a row? Do you have a good scrimmage? Do you back-to-back good scrimmages? I think that's what they're looking for right now.
Coach Whittingham's talked about some of these kind of, I don't know how to put specialized players. So you have Lander Barton, who's going to see some time offensively. Smith Snowden. You have Hunter Andrews. You have Nate Johnson. They kind of these, where do they fit? They're kind of hybrid players, or they're unique, special players. Of all these guys, who do you think really is going to have the biggest impact on this team this year?
That's a good question. I mean, the tight end room is evolving. Dallin Bentley's the one proven commodity in that tight end room. And I'll tell you a guy that's had a good fall camp that Kyle Whittingham has name checked a few times. It's J.J. Buchanan,
Yeah.
freshman out of Las Vegas. I think they'd like to see Otto Tia emerge a little bit. He had a really nice year last year at Utah State. He's a big target. He was a wide receiver at Utah State. They've tried to kind of convert him to a tight end. He had 44 catches and 7 touchdowns last year. So, you mentioned Lander. I think that there's a place for it. People are asking me all the time. This is not going to be a Travis Hunter situation, I don't think, with any of these guys.
Right.
I think these guys are going to be used for their skill set situationally, but especially because Lander and Smith are such big parts of what Utah likes to do on the defensive side of the football. So, but yeah, I could see that. Hunter Andrews is a guy that's just they kind of move him around like a chess piece. You might see him line up at tight end. You might see him be an H-back. You might see him be a fullback. Heck, he might carry the football from time to time as a tailback, maybe in short yardage. So Andrews is not a two-way player, meaning offense and defense, although he did play some linebacker when he first got here. But he's a guy that they can move around a little bit too and use situationally. And I think that's part of the good part of what Jason Beck likes to do. I think he wants to get as much of the talent that he have on both sides of the ball and utilize them where they can.
Man, converting third downs is such a huge thing, and if a guy like Hunter Andrews could kind of evolve into that multi-purpose guy that you could use on third downs, kind of like a Taysom Hill, maybe a little bit, it becomes a valuable weapon, and it'd be fascinating to see where all these guys fit. Because I just thought about this morning. I'm like, you got a lot of these guys that are very interesting, intriguing, but who fits in? Who really makes an impact? And because you got to run a lot of offense to get everyone the ball and run the ball. And speaking of running the ball, it's kind of a two-headed monster uh, with N'Keary Rodgers and Wayshawn Parker at the running back position.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter's not comparing Hunter Andrews to Taysom Hill, I think, is a little out there. He's not quite that kind of dynamic athlete, but no, they've got a lot of guys. Well, here's the other thing, Scott. I mean, the offensive line's so good that
Yeah.
you and I might be able to line up in short yardage and duck behind Jaron Kump and Michael Mokafisi or Caleb Lomu on a given play. They're really, really good. But Andrews will play a role. They've got a little bit of everything at running back too. Wayshawn Parker and N'Keary Rodgers are kind of 1A and 1B, and then you've got the speed guys, the two freshmen, Daniel Bray and Racine Guillory. Green's in there as well. So they've got a number of different running backs, and then of course you've got the quarterback who can act like a running back at times in Devin Dampier.
Yeah, as we've just talked through this, the cupboards aren't bare offensively. There's a lot of weapons. I guess I've kind of equated it to like a patchwork of offensive production. You just put a little bit here and there, and all of a sudden you have this beautiful quilt that's made of a bunch of different funny looking things, but it works, and that may be the case this year.
Yeah,
Okay.
they may not have that. They may not have that one stud
Yeah.
wide receiver immediately,
Yep.
that 5-star guy or that guy that emerges. But I think they've got enough playmakers that you're going to be able to find ways to get guys involved. They may not be forcing the ball 90 times to one given wide receiver, but I think they're going to have enough guys that can really make plays in the pass game. That there was a lot of angst spring football and off season. Oh, who are the playmakers? I think those guys are beginning to emerge in fall camp. So I don't think Utah fans need to stress a ton about guys who can catch. I think they've really found some guys here in fall camp that can make some plays.
I've always liked Zipper. I really have, and I'm glad that he's having a good camp. I mean, he could be a guy that could really break out, and he's one of those guys that looks like a dude too, and I just like that. Um, I got to ask you this question because really, I thought it was fascinating. Patrick Mahomes, of course, you're a huge Chiefs fan, and
Yeah.
rightfully so. Um, he said last year was kind of an anomaly. Like it was just kind of all the different crazy things that went on with players and just kind of his play. And he's really I guess it was kind of shocking to me that I heard this because they went all the way to the Super Bowl in kind of an off year. Um, I think there's a certain group of people that feel like, yeah, the Chiefs have kind of slid, they've kind of fallen back. Maybe they're not going to contend. What do you think about this kind of perception from Patrick Mahomes and kind of this recommitment, I guess, from him and this whole team? Do you think they're a contender? Should people be watching out for the Chiefs this year?
Well, I think so. Well, yeah. I mean, they didn't fall off the map. I mean, I think what he was talking about last year was they just kind of had to do whatever they could. You think about this, Scott. Their top wide receiver was Rasheed Rice.
Yeah.
He missed the entire season after the third game. He got
Yep.
knocked out on a freak play. They added Hollywood Brown. He missed the entire season till like week 16. And Isaiah Pacheco missed, 12 or 13 games in the middle with a broken foot or broken ankle. And they were a disaster at left tackle. Their top left, they didn't have a left tackle last year. They tried like four guys in there and finally moved their left guard to left tackle. So I think that's kind of what he's talking about. People are like, well,
Yep.
Mahomes didn't look like himself. Well, because I mean, he was without his top two receivers and his top running back just about the entire year. And you know how important the left tackle is? They were having to kind of piece that thing together, and he was running for his life a lot. So I think that, they're healthy this year. They're deeper at wide receiver this year. They've got the running back this year. And it looks like, again, small sample size, but the kid they took a chance on, had he been healthy during the draft process, would have been a top 10 pick. They got him at 31. That's Josh Simmons, the tackle from Ohio State. So I think that that's a little bit about what he's talking about. Now, the AFC is a little bit like the Big 12. There's about four teams you could pick to
Yeah.
win it. Buffalo, Baltimore, Denver's a lot better. I don't think they're quite good enough to win it all yet, but they're going to give people, including the Chiefs, some trouble. The Chiefs are there. So I understand why it's, and there's a little bit of, hey, there's Chiefs fatigue. We all know this. It happens in every sport. The Golden State Warriors, there were Warrior fatigue. There's just a little bit of that too. But I think they're right there in the mix. I think you could say, okay, they've been to three, four of the last five of the last six Super Bowls. I think you could pick them to get back there. But if somebody made a case for the Bills or the Ravens or somebody else, I could see that too.
Well, and that's what I'm so excited about for the NFL and for college football, specifically the Big 12. It's going to be intriguing all year long. It's going to be a dogfight, and I think whoever wins this is really going to deserve it because they're going to play a lot of good football teams and a lot of teams that believe they can win. And it's the same thing in the NFL, and that's what you want. You want very competitive games against teams that are trying their best, and you want to have hope that you're a part of it and that you can win as well. So. Hey, we're 2 weeks away. Really look forward to all of that, and it's always fun to chat with you. I hope you have a great rest of your day and a weekend. So thanks for tuning in, Bill.
All right, talk to you next week, Scott.
All right, you got it. All right, there you go. Voice of the Utes, Mr. Bill Riley, Director of Broadcasting at the University of Utah. When we come back, speaking of quarterbacks, we're going to have to talk about dealing. What's the strategy of working with a young quarterback in the NFL and even college when the Sean O'Connell Show returns here on ESPN 792 FM. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM, Utah's number one sports talk and home of your Utes. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today. Was here yesterday. It's Friday. We're having fun today, and because it's Friday, and that's what we do. And so, thank you for tuning in, and we really appreciate it. Having a lot of fun doing this. Today, I believe. Well, it was like midnight or something last night. There's this documentary that came out, and it was on a reality TV show. And I happened to be on that reality TV show. It's called The Biggest Loser. It's for all these overweight people that try to lose weight and win money. You win a prize at the end if you're the biggest loser. And sad to say, I was not the biggest loser. I was the lesser loser. I had a great experience on the show. A lot of controversy surrounds the show as to, is it a good thing? Is it bad? Is it healthy? Uh, I'll just tell you, had an incredible experience on the show. It's brutally hard. I lost a ton of weight, 126 pounds in 4.5 months. I literally lost a pound a day. That's what it didn't happen like that, but if you average it out, that's what it actually happened. And it was very tough. And there's a lot of controversy with it. And I didn't, I didn't experience that. I really didn't. A lot of people, I don't know. I do know that it was kind of a funny aspect of the show, and a lot of the contestants that were on my season, they all felt like this is my opportunity to become famous. I'm gonna get famous off of being on this show, and I kind of chuckled a little bit, and I was like, well, yeah, it's probably not going to happen, but you can certainly. I certainly didn't go on the show to get famous. I kind of tried not to go on the show, quite frankly. It was more embarrassing and humiliating than anything to want to go on the show under those circumstances. But it turned out to be just a wonderful thing, and I just embraced it and went with it, and it was incredible. Now, every contestant, there are 20 from my season, and every single contestant pretty much gained most of the weight back. I certainly did, and I've been working to get that weight gone. And I saw this article about Kate plus eight, and this one, the woman who had all these kids, and uh, she's talking about, look, I just live a normal life now, and I'm a nurse, and I do my thing. And so I think people get this conception in their head, or conception, is that the right word, James? Did I use the right word? Perception? I don't want to get
Depends on what you're about to say. Probably.
okay, that they're going to be famous, or the TV
Yeah.
kind of you know, solves all your problems. You become rich and famous from it, and not always necessarily the case. But the thing that is funny, and I was talking to Tim Brown from RGS Exteriors the other day, and he was because he loved that show. Uh, he absolutely loved the show, and I was just kind of telling him about, just kind of the whole experience, and it was it was a great experience, but it was you know it's kind of not the end of the world. But what was funny about it was the fan base. So people who know me from football, and I still get fan mail from football. No matter where I live, people find me. They find where I'm living, and they send me stuff to sign. And I'm happy to sign it. So if you have something and you want to find my address, I'll sign it for you. And so it's kind of a fun thing to do. I'm shocked by it. I'll just be honest. I'm just shocked that people still do it, and they do, and they have for years. But the fan base, after being on that show, slightly overweight, middle-aged women, and very different fans. I was telling Tim about this. I'm like, men are subtle when they recognize you. Women just come right up to you and say, "I just loved you on that show, The Biggest Loser. You were just, oh, it's so wonderful." And it's just funny, the different fan base. So I have a varied fan base as being a former professional athlete and a reality TV star. So I'm well versed in my popularity, James, and it's been it's been quite an interesting experience. I'll just tell you that.
I can imagine with when you're famous for kind of multiple things, it being interesting the different kind of interactions that you have, I think I can picture what you experience with men not being so over the top about
Yeah,
when they recognize you, when they approach how they approach you, and
yeah.
women being a lot more excited and not really no inhibitions to be like, yeah, let me just be a little subtle here. No, just like I'm gonna tell you how much I love you, and I can picture that. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's fascinating, quite frankly. And the weirdest thing I've ever experienced in my life is being recognized by people. It's something I've never gotten used to. I've never, and it happens today, which is even more shocking to me. I think the most shocking one happened at Hale Center Theater during an intermission, and it was just like some guy just, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, and it's just weird. It's just a weird thing. So,
I think
um,
I think with guys, and I'm speaking from my experience as I've been in the
because
media.
you're a
I've,
guy,
I've been
yeah.
able to, right, and also just being in the media, I've been able to meet a lot of famous athletes that I wouldn't have been able to meet otherwise, and didn't before this. I think it's for me anyway. It's like we know that you get approached a lot about this. I don't want to be the one that annoys you as I approach you. I want to make sure that I express that hey, I'm a big fan and because when am I going to see you again, but I also don't want to bother you about it. you
See,
know?
I've always been like, I'm happy to share my experience. I'm happy to talk to people about it, and I've always looked at it like the best way to kind of build your brand or promote yourself is by one person at a time. And if you spend the time with people, if you're real and authentic with them, and you're approachable, I just think it goes a lot further. And I'd rather have that one individual saying, "Man, I met this guy. He's really nice. It was fun to have a conversation with him." And I've seen, and I know how time consuming that can be for people. But usually, when you run into someone, it's not like a large group of people. It's kind of a one person at a time thing. And so I've just seen people who are more that way, and it just seems to be better for them. And so that's kind of the approach I've
Yeah.
always taken
And I
from it.
I think I've always appreciated when it's been that approach from the famous people, the famous athletes I've been able to meet. Um because we're not I don't think anyone who's a big fan that wants to say hi to one of their heroes or one of the guys that they know is super famous and they're like, that'd be really cool to talk to them. I don't think any of them is like the has the intention of I want to be the 100th guy that's really bothered you today. You know? So
Yeah.
it's always I think appreciated from this end of things. The person who's not famous approaching the famous person that hey, like that you treat them well, you're at least cordial with them. Maybe you are annoying with like can I just continue with my day please? I don't want to get interrupted again. But like if you at least show that some kind of polite cordialness with each person, it's appreciated. But at the same time, it sounds like that's not your experience. But like other people, if they do get annoyed with being constantly interrupted like that, like I kind of get it too. Like it can't be like as easy as it seems to be that to have adoring fans come up to you a lot. But I don't know. Some people, it sounds like for you, it's not a problem at all. Some people, it might be. I don't know. I mean,
I'm
John
just shocked. I'm
Stockton, for
shocked that
example, is
people
one.
do, quite frankly, and just simply because I, I mean, I guess I've been in the spotlight a little bit through the last few years, being on television, whatever. But it's been a long time. It's 24 years since I played football, and so it's and in a very different place. I wasn't in Utah. I mean, I am from here and what have you, but so it's just I'm just shocked that people come up and do it, and certainly not offended by it. And look, we're all just humans, okay? No one's better than anyone else, and it's just like, but it's fun to meet people that you appreciate and you're a fan of. It's a fun thing to do. All right, let's take a break. We come back. We got Camp Kyle sounds right around the corner here on the Sean O'Connell Show. But let me tell you something. Experience a celebration of cannabis culture, music, and community at the first annual Canna Fan Fest, set in the heart of Salt Lake City at the Granary Live, September 27th, a one-day festival of live music performances featuring Crooked Kings, Changing Lanes, Analea Brown, and more. Visit ESPN700sports.com for the full lineup of performances, tickets, links, and more. All right, Camp Kyle right around the corner. Sean O'Connell, ESPN 792.1 FM. Hello, sports fans. Welcome on in. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today. It's Friday. We're so excited to have you a part of our show. A lot of fun today, a lot of fun conversations, and it's going to continue. We got more. We want more. And that's what you're going to get because that's what you want. And if you miss a part of it, don't worry about it because technology has allowed us to give you the show anytime, anywhere, anyhow you want, which is awesome. So you go to ESPN700sports.com or the ESPN 700 app. The app is free. ESPN700sports.com is free too. So you can listen, you can stream, you can live stream, you can get the podcast form. We're also on at ESPN 700 Sports Utah on YouTube. So there's lots of ways that you can view us if you miss a part of the show. And quite frankly, you don't want to miss the show. And if you do miss a part of the show, you will be fined by the NCAA. You'll have a 10-year ban. You will not be able to go to postseason games or anything. So make sure that you just tune in wherever you are. And you can do it whenever you want, but just tune in. That's all. Camp Kyle, of course, is going on. And, I had a great conversation with Bill Riley early. Of course, we've listened to some of the sound from Coach Whittingham and Devin Dampier. A guy who I think is really interesting is Jaron Kump. Has been on the team for a long time. He's played pretty much every position on the offensive line. He's now the center, and it's such a critical position to be playing on the team. And so
he's the center, so the C, and he's the C because he's a captain this year too, Scott. Yes. So you got a double C there.
Well, and that helps him to know where to line up as well. So they put his name, they embroider it onto his jersey so he doesn't get confused because, it's possible. Anyways, the Big Noon at 12 is brought to you by Mountain Land Supply. Visit Mountain Land Supply today. That, of course, is this segment. And Camp Kyle Sound is brought to you by Keto's, Sound Warehouse, Culligan Water, Game Day Men's Health, Outlaw Distillery, Polylift, Big Willie's, Budweiser, Beer Barb, Big O Tires, Baskin Robbins, you name it. Everyone wants to get involved with Camp Kyle, and so do we. Here's Jaron Kump, and here's what he had to say.
Well, Jaron, there's a lot of talk about this offensive line. Have you kind of lived up to expectations so far in camp?
Yeah, I mean, we're really flattered for all the talk, all the positive talk, but in reality, our attitude as an O-line is that we haven't proved anything. I mean, the season hasn't even started. Preseason accolades in reality don't mean anything. No one's going to remember those. So our goal, our mentality, our attitude is that we haven't proved anything. We got a lot to come out and prove this year, and so we are working every single day to be able to put us in the position to be able to do that.
Jaron, what does it mean to you to be named captain?
It is the biggest honor that honestly I can think of. I'm so fortunate, I would say. So fortunate that my teammates, see me as a guy who's essentially able to fulfill that role as a captain, and so I'm so honored that to be put in this position, and so I will do everything I can to earn it every single day.
Jaron, you've been in this program for a long time. What's different about this team, or what's kind of the makeup of this team as compared to maybe years past?
Yeah, I mean, we actually had a team meeting kind of about this. I think it's just over 50% of this team is brand new. So there's a lot of new guys, and that's something that, me being here some time, this is something that's kind of new. But one thing I do love is that everyone's starting to buy in. All the new guys, the older guys, I think are really helping kind of reestablish what our standard is every single day in practice and in our workouts. And I think the new guys are really starting to buy in. And so, and we're really coming together. I'm really excited. I'm so excited for this team, and I'm excited for it.
Not paying attention to any of the preseason stuff. I guess you don't take it as a slight that you guys were not in the preseason top 25. AP was just released today. There's like 4 Big 12 teams that are. Do you feel like this mentality of this group is something to prove?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We got something to prove. I mean, as you guys know, last year was obviously not the standard, and so it's not being a top 25. I mean, that's not outside of expectation because of that. So, we got so much to prove, and that's the attitude we have, is that we got to come out and prove everything that we believe that we are.
Jaron, how's your chemistry with Devin Dampier?
Oh, it's been growing really well. I freaking love the dude. He's not only an outstanding quarterback, he's an outstanding teammate. I mean, I think he'd be okay if I said he's taken us out to eat. I don't even know how many times as an entire offensive line. So he's a team guy. He's a guy that's really here with the for the boys, and he's an awesome addition to the locker room. Not only the locker room, but the offense as well. So
it's a hefty build.
It is, but he's been really awesome with us. So that's going to help us just give that little half a second longer of protection. Knowing that our guy behind us really takes care of us, we're going to try and take care of him.
There you have it, Jaron Kump. That's great stuff, by the way. I love that. Look, offensive linemen are simple. They're very easy people to please. Just feed them. Just take them out to dinner. Just feed them. Learned this a long time ago. Smart move by the quarterback. Yeah, you want these guys on your side. You want them to give that just a little bit extra effort on your behalf. So I like the move by Devin Dampier with the offensive lineman. And the other thing I think is there's a lot of interesting things that Jared said that I really like. One of them is about that 50% of the team is new, and that's not really the way that they've built this program. And they talk about culture, and it's really about getting guys in the program and developing them. And the younger guys have the opportunity to learn from the older guys, and they learn the culture. They learn how this is how we do things here. This is the way we approach this. This is what we focus on. And that's a new challenge. It's a new problem to figure out because like what other option does Utah have if they lose half of their team? They have to go out and get the half they lost. I mean, there's no way around it. That would be a horrible thing. I think of my last year at Utah where we lost 5 players before the start of the season and we had no recourse. We just lost them. And now the whole strategy, well, you can go out and get the guys that you lost. And a lot of the guys Utah lost were, they were kind of role players maybe to some degree. I mean, a couple maybe not, were a bit of a surprise. There were guys that, I mean, Coach Whittingham said, like, this guy, they're taking a guy from us that we kind of look at as maybe a 2. Like he's not even a starter or star kind of player. It's just you're kind of scratching your head a little bit about um, why they left. Of course, Keanu Tunavasa, that just stung me. I'll just tell you right now. That did not sit well with me. So I'm not happy about that one. But it's interesting that Jaron says, these guys are starting to understand and to build this culture, and I think that's so much of like who is like the success you're going to have is the team that can really bring that new mass of players and get them to buy into and get them assimilated into your program. I think is an absolute huge thing. And then another thing that Jaron said I thought was quite fascinating was I really think he said, we're not buying into because he's like, how do you feel about your offensive line and getting all of these accolades? I'm just telling you, I think it's harder when you have people heaping praise on you. I think most people and what's hard about it is that you get complacent. For some reason, we just seem to respond better to criticism. We seem to respond better. And certainly Kyle Whittingham's team seemed to do that, which is part of why I'm very excited about the season is that they're kind of outcasts, kind of forgotten a little bit, but also still respected. They're still, and this is Utah, which is a pretty cool thing, that there is this respect, don't take them lightly kind of thing. And so I really like that they kind of have the right framework and the right mindset about that because it's really hard to do. And it's one of the things that I wish people would stop talking about it. I wish they would stop talking about how they boy, this offensive line is so good. It's just like you're just setting them up to fail. Like just be quiet about it. Don't say anything. Don't because we don't know anything. That's the bottom line. And people are like, well, this is the top rated offensive line in the Big 12. It's like, how do you know that? We don't know that. And I'm not trying to disparage these guys at all. I mean, they're very good players and I'm excited about them, but I just get nervous when people start giving all these accolades and to these young people. Anyways, fascinating, and I think it's really cool. And I think what's cool about it is Jaren's just excited. He's like, man, this is the biggest honor of my life to be a captain on this team and to kind of be where we are and it's a special thing. And he'll play a big role in this. The center position is a massive, almost like a coach on the field, directing kind of run schemes, pass protections. Got to know it all. Got to direct people about where they need to go, what they need to do. So he's a big part of whether they're going to do well or not. And I'm confident that they'll get it done.
Scott, I have a quick question for you because there's a lot was made of. I don't think anyone disagrees with. I don't think anyone's saying the four guys that were chosen by the players to be captains. That's the Fano brothers, Jaron Kump, and Lander Barton. That they're not deserving, but there's a lot of people surprised that Devin Dampier was not named a captain, was not voted by his teammates as a captain, but he is on the leadership council. I wonder, from a former player's perspective, I don't know what equivalent if they had an equivalent to that in the NFL, or if they had something like that at your time with Utah, captains and then a leadership council, both voted on by teammates. Is there, how much of a difference is there between the captains and the guys on the leadership council, or are they kind of synonymous?
No, there's a difference there for sure, and that's a good question though. I'm just thinking about my time. It's like, okay, being a captain in some regards is like it's almost an honorary type of thing, but there's not a whole lot of responsibility. I mean, especially in professional football, the responsibility is you go out for the coin toss,
Yeah.
right? That's your like during the week. There's no like, you've got to lead the team. You got to do all these things. Like there's
Have
no,
extra
and nothing
meeting,
ever
have
happens.
extra player meetings or anything like that.
No, there's
Nothing like
no, they
that.
never. But the leadership council, that's a different story because that's a policy board more or less. That's a
They
that's a
choose
where
the one thing I know with leadership council. Sorry to cut you off. The is they choose the uniforms that you're going to wear every week. At least that's how
yeah.
they do it at University of Utah. I'm sure there's a lot other more policy stuff that they do.
Yeah, and so the leadership council to me has a much more important role on the team aside from uh um you know jerseys. It's like, hey, we have an issue with the player. What's the disciplinary? How that there's things of the coach will give a lot of feedback or get a lot of feedback or ask for or counsel with these players, and they really do. What types of things, what so the coach can get a real pulse on the team because it's one thing to be a captain because part of that's it almost could be a popularity thing. I mean, no offense to Logan Fano, but his play, his position, I don't know, constitute him being a team captain, right? But he's a very funny guy. He's a very gregarious guy. He's a lot of personality. He's been around for a bit of time, and the Fano brothers, it's almost like it's a package deal. They're a comedy routine, and so they, you can't have one without the other kind of thing. And I think that was the case with them staying at Utah, even NIL wise. I think that had part to do with it. Maybe people won't admit it, but it probably is true. But the leadership council absolutely has so much more of an impact on the team and so much more say in kind of the things that really matter with the team than actually a captain. But very good question.
Yeah.
I actually
So
hadn't.
the reason I asked that is if there's anyone in the fan base or whatever that's like me doesn't have a deep enough understanding of what the differences are, if there's anyone that's like, hey, it's a red flag that Devin Dampier wasn't voted as captain, it really shouldn't be because he was voted to be on the leadership council, and that actually holds a lot more weight, right? As far as what the teammates and the coaches, how they see him as a potential leader for the team.
There is a lot of honor in being the captain, and it is something. And like Jaron said, this is a big honor, and it is. I'm not minimizing it at all, and it really is one of those things where that your teammates basically are verbally saying, "We look to you for our leadership."
Yeah, we'll follow
And
you. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and but maybe not more weight then. Maybe I said that wrong. But still being on the leadership council holds a lot of weight if you're voted to be on that
Yeah.
anyway. So that's
Oh, I think Devin Dampier is a guy that's very well respected by his teammates, and they're going to look to him to do a lot of things. And he's absolutely a leader on the team because you don't have to be a captain to have that happen.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's take a break. Yeah, let's go. We'll go to a break right now. I don't want to. I think we should never have any breaks at all, but we're supposed to do
I
that.
know if we didn't have a bunch of clients, we got to give a lot of love to, and if that wasn't
support
part of
and
the
love our
deal
show,
with
and they're
radio,
fans.
I'd be with you though. Like we let's just keep talking as long as we want here. But
And we will when we come back. I'm gonna get to this strategy for how to develop a young quarterback in the NFL because it's a fascinating conversation and we want to hear it. And we'll get to that and so much more when the Sean O'Connell Show returns here on ESPN 700 92.1 FM. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk. And so happy to be a part of your life. Is it 12:30? That's about what time it is, wouldn't you say? I think so. Anyways, Live Night Events presents the 2025 Granary Live Concert Series powered by Nightingale College and Murdoch Hyundai, Utah's #1 Hyundai dealer. Experience outdoor concerts in the heart of downtown Salt Lake's Granary District. Find more details on ESPN700sports.com. Fun show today. I'm Scott Mitchell, of course, filling in for Sean O'Connell. So happy to be here. So glad that you're joining us on your Friday, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. We appreciate it, and so glad you could tune into the show. And I've been mentioning this topic about what's the best strategy? How do you take a young rookie quarterback in the NFL and how do you bring them along? How do you develop them? And it's certainly a wide opinionated view of how you should bring them along. So part of it is throw them in, let them fend for themselves. Another part of it is no, hold them out, let them work, let them see, let them get a feel for it, because you don't want to mess their fragile psyche up. And I think each one, there's plenty of examples of all of this that I find fascinating. And I experienced this in my time in professional sports, and like, when's the best as a quarterback? And I'll just tell you, the quarterback position is just so unique in sports. It's so complicated. It's so nuanced. It's so hard to do. And what's so hard about it is everything you have to understand, everything you have to execute on, and all of the people that are trying to get you to not execute it. Now think about if you're a defensive back, or think if you're a wide receiver. You typically, it's the guy in front of you. Like, I got to beat this corner. The corner's like, I got to cover you, and maybe a safety's involved. So maybe there's two people that you have to deal with when you're the wide receiver. When you're a quarterback, it's like, I got to deal with all these defensive linemen who hate me, by the way, who are much faster, much more athletic, much heavier than I am. And their whole job, their whole like existence, the thing that they get excited about is killing me. Like, they look forward to maiming, hurting, and injuring me. They have been indoctrinated, taught, and it's their life mission to hurt the quarterback. So you get the biggest, baddest people on the whole football field, and they're all after you. And the same thing with the linebackers. You have to deal with this. You have to deal with every single position. They're all there to stop you. And it's so challenging. And you got to get all your guys on the same page. And you got to hope that one of your guys, like, you don't have an offensive lineman miss a block, or you don't have a guy or has the wrong assignment, or doesn't understand what to do, or someone misses a side adjustment on a hot route with a blitz, or there's just so much. Like, you have no idea how hard this is to do this. And it's complex in the NFL because the coordinators they're just mean people, and they do all these crazy exotic things all the time. I mean, I saw some things I'll never forget. The first time I ever saw it, we're playing the Chicago Bears, and people have heard of like a 2-deep zone, where the two safeties are deep, and they just play in an area, 5 guys underneath play in a zone. And they did this thing where they did that, except for they switched. And so instead of the corner being out in the flat, they brought the safety. So the safety went to the flat and the corner went to the deep half of the field. And I was like, what in the world are you like? I'd never seen anything like that. That was just the most insane. So these defensive coordinators will do anything. They'll try anything. And basically what they're saying is, we're going to bring the safety toward the line of scrimmage because he can protect against the run, because you got a guy named Barry Sanders in your backfield. But then if you do pass, we'll put a corner in the deep half of the field, and he can cover the pass better than the safety can. And it's like, wow. So they will do awful, terrible, crazy things to you as defensive coordinator. So how do you get a player to get to a point where they understand all this? They see this, they're confident with it, and they can execute on it. And it's a really hard thing to do. I will tell you that it starts with a coach who understands how to nurture a quarterback. And usually it's ones that come out of the Bill Walsh tree. So you have a guy like Sean Payton, who was actually is a Parcells guy, but you have a but Parcells to some degree understood really how to develop quarterbacks. So you have Andy Reid, like Andy Reid, Sean Payton, some of the top people in the NFL in dealing with and really managing quarterbacks because they get it, they understand it. Bill Belichick was actually brilliant with Tom Brady. Bill Belichick was a defensive minded coach who spent a lot of time with Tom Brady teaching him what defenses are trying to do. And that was brilliant. A lot of coaches I don't know would do that. So it's having a coach that knows you can't treat quarterbacks the same. Meaning each individual quarter, I think it's different. And so there are some guys like Patrick Mahomes, really good example. Patrick Mahomes sat his first year. And it was Patrick Mahomes. Now they had Alex Smith, who was playing very well at the time, very well, and took him to the AFC Championship game, and they got rid of him. And that, to me, I was like, man, you guys are crazy because you don't know what you have in Patrick Mahomes. And they go, no, we do know, and we have known, and he is our guy, no question about it. And he was, and it was a brilliant move, and it was the right move, and it was the right move to let Patrick Mahomes sit his first year. And then he was ready. Now, Dan Marino or some other guys who have come in, like Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, they just threw him in. They just said, you just go play. And Peyton Manning was threw a lot of interceptions, and it was an up and down time his rookie year. And it was debatable what he would become and who he was and all that. Marino was like a duck on water. As soon as he got in, it was like, away we go. And I can only imagine what it was like in those practices when Marino wasn't playing as a rookie. David Woodley was the quarterback, and this was a really good football team who had gone to a Super Bowl. And so that's part of the strategy is I think players that come into the league that are older, Peyton Manning, if you remember, stayed his whole time at Tennessee. So he'd gotten a lot of experience playing. Bo Nix, you saw, same thing with Jaden Daniels. They had a lot of experience in college in playing games. Joe Burrow, very similar type of thing. Now, Joe Burrow got injured his first year, but then he went to the Super Bowl his second year. And so letting these guys, some of them come in and play early is not a bad strategy, but there's some guys it's not a good strategy. And a guy like Zach Wilson, I don't think it was good for him to come in as a rookie and play. He didn't play a lot at BYU and hadn't had a lot of experience playing there. And then he goes to a team, defensive-minded coach who's terrible. You don't want, just so you know, you don't want a defensive-minded coach coaching a quarterback because for them, it's like, well, just get them out of there if they're not playing well. And it's not how you deal with a quarterback. There's just so much more to it than just get him out of there. And you kind of have to let guys play through it, and you have to let them play through these patches of kind of maybe they've thrown a couple of incompletions or they've thrown an interception or two, and the a lot of times it's so much better to let a guy stay in a game and work through that. Mike Holmgren had Brett Favre, who could. Brett Favre did not have an interception he did not like. He threw a ton of them. I mean, he could throw interceptions with the very best of all of them. He was incredible at throwing interceptions. But he was also an incredible talent. And he ran the West Coast offense different than Joe Montana and Steve Young. And he ran it the Brett Favre way. And Mike Holmgren could see the talent of that. And he just said, you're my guy. And so sticking with a guy and really letting him know that you're confident in him. You look at the situation with Anthony Richardson with the Colts. He's not their guy. They wouldn't be having an open competition if he was their guy. And basically what they're saying is, man, we're kind of stuck with this guy for a couple of years, but we have zero confidence that he can get it done. and that's kind of unfortunate for them. And it's unfortunate for Anthony Richardson. And quite frankly, Anthony Richardson should have stayed in college. Should have stayed 2 or 3 more years. He would have been so much better off had he done that. And Anthony Richardson probably would have transferred like Cam Ward. So much of it is the maturity of the player, and can they handle like things being tough? Because they are tough, and the game is a little different these days. It's different in the sense that you don't have the physicalness of the game is different than it used to be for quarterbacks. You also the rules are different, and a lot of things that wouldn't fly in professional football with certain plays are now kind of being more of the norm. So these young guys who kind of played in a certain system are now able to do it, differently than when they were younger or when they were in college. And so there's a better probability of a younger guy coming into a situation playing. Now this year, you've got Jackson Dart, and Jackson Dart. I think he should be the guy in New York, and I think he would be great as the guy in New York. I think he wants to be the guy. I think at the maturity level, he's played a lot of football. He's very mature going into his rookie year. Some of these other guys, maybe not so much. I mean, Bo Nix was great that way a year ago. He played more games than I think anyone ever had in college. But the scary part about a Jackson Dart is the coach is kind of on the hot seat. And so some of the decisions about playing him or what happens with him could be a play for this coach to keep his job. Like, hey, we're playing the rookie, so I'm gonna be around for a while. So it's maybe not in the best interest of Jackson Dart, but it's in the best interest of the coach, and that's not really ultimately in the
Right.
best interest
Or
of
you might see with Brian Dayball, because he's rumored to be on the hot seat and has been for the last couple of years. He's going to go with Russell Wilson maybe instead of Jackson Dart, even if
yeah.
Jackson Dart might be the better option.
Well, and that's a tricky thing for him because if he goes with Russell Wilson and he doesn't win, then it's like, well, we'll just throw the rookie in,
Yeah.
and he's probably going to get fired, because but if he goes with Jackson Dart in the beginning of the season, then he goes to management. We got the young kid, looks like he's going to be pretty good, but we're going to have some patience with him, and you want to give him a stable environment.
It's like and that's like a confidence play by Brian Dayball. They're like, "Hey, I know you guys might want to get me out of here, the first losing streak we have, but this rookie's our best chance at winning,
Well,
and rookies need patience. So I'm going to start him, and hopefully you're going to allow me to be patient with him. And you're going to be patient with me."
which they should be. I mean, if they're smart. I mean, because it'd be foolish to just like expect a rookie to just be phenomenal, and that's not the case. And the Giants historically have been a pretty patient organization.
Yeah.
So it's but so you kind of have to look at situations and the stability as I'm talking about, and a lot. If you look at a lot of quarterbacks who are like some of the all-time greats, they were in a system for a long time, if not their entire career, and they all speak to how much that had an impact on them playing. And it's so much easier when you just know the system like the back of your hand, and you know it in a way that whatever a defense throws at you, and they're going to throw a lot of stuff. Whatever they throw at you, you are confident and you can react to it and handle it like immediately. Like, you don't want to, you don't go, oh, that surprised me. Oh, that fooled me. That, whatever me. You go, oh, I know what they're doing here. Boom, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to handle this. And that's when you get to that level when you're not thinking about your offense. And there's so much, we talked on the show yesterday, just the cadence, how intricate the cadence can be and how it can throw you off with all the different things you have to think about. It can really mess with you. So having that continuity of just a system, you just go, I know it, I feel it, and I love it.
I've
And
got
and
a Sorry, I've got a young quarterback question for you. With the
Ooh,
Commanders,
yeah.
Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin holding out or holding in whatever he's doing. He's asking for a new contract and says he won't play until he gets one, or asking for a trade. In fact, um, as a for a young quarterback, not a rookie quarterback anymore, and Jaden Daniels, they traded for Debo Samuel, so they did bolster the wide receiver room. But Terry McLaurin would be obviously a huge loss. You
Yep.
talk about the environment that a quarterback's in. I mean, losing your top receiver in your first or second year has got to be a obvious detriment to a young quarterback's development. What kind of but with the success that he had, you still have the same coaches there. We've been talking about the coach's perspective. What kind of a loss would it be for Terry for Terry McLaurin if they do end up trading him? They can't come to an agreement here for Jaden Daniels.
It's such a hard dilemma, the business side of football, and weighing it out between what's actually the best thing from a football perspective. So there, because there's a lot of money involved, and there's money that um, kind of sets you up for the rest of your life, kind of money. But then you may take less money, but it'll extend, or you'll have more success on the field, and that may turn into more. Tom Brady was always extremely underpaid for his performance, but he consciously made that choice so that he could be on a good team, around a good team, and it paid huge dividends for him. And then there are some people who just gone, I'm just going for the money. I don't care. And they go off and they get their money, but oh well, it kind of hurts them. And I'm not saying Brock Purdy's in that situation, but that's kind of the balancing act the 49ers are trying to weigh out. Patrick Mahomes took less money than he could have, and he took a long, long deal, and it's given the Chiefs the flexibility to to get players around him. And if you're a player like McLaurin and you're just like, pay me, I don't care about the rest of you, and not really looking at the long term implications. He could go to a team and he's miserable, and it's a horrible experience, and maybe his career's shortened, or it's maybe doesn't have the same success
Could
he
end
would
up
have had
missing
otherwise.
Washington real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's and you've got a quarterback. You go, man, I could ride the coattails of this. You know, I don't think you appreciate your quarterback until you don't have one,
Yeah.
and you don't have a guy that can throw the ball to you. You don't, or you're in the system and you just go, wow, this, because you still have to go to practice, you still have to go play in the games, you still have to play at a high level, and it's really hard to do that in a really sucky organization. Like, go to the Cleveland Browns for the last 2 decades and try to play there every Sunday and say that's a fun experience. It's just not. And so it might be better down the road for a guy and to maybe take a little less money, and they don't want to, and their agents don't want to. Agents don't want to look like a fool. It's like, man, I'm trying to get my guy the top dollars, and they're not trying to look at his long term, um, career and what's better. And I ran into that in Detroit. Brett Perriman was one of our wide receivers, a great wide receiver, and he said, I want to get paid, and I'm not going to get paid here. I'm going to go somewhere else. And I'm like, you're going to blow up the chemistry of our team. Like, you're as important as any other player on this team. And he didn't care. He goes, I don't want to be second fiddle to Herman Moore, and I'm gonna. And he just, his career kind of fizzled out. I mean, he just wasn't
Yeah.
the, and would have been great. And I just so wished he would have stayed in Detroit. He'd just been phenomenal for us, but he
That's
didn't, and it is what it is. So it's a tough, because I can't fault a guy if he wants to get paid.
right.
Like, I just can't at all. But you hate to break up a really good thing, and there's a real potential of doing that. Now in the NFL, you can find a lot of good wide receivers. So it's a little bit easier to swallow with a wide receiver than it is like a quarterback, or some of these other players. It's that they're tough to replace. Um, and when you have a good one, and the thing about Jaden Daniels is he's on his rookie contract now. That's when they really want to swing for the fences and get a team that can just really do a lot.
More willing to
Now,
pay. The teams are more willing to pay guys like Terry McLaurin are asking for more
yeah,
money because
well, they
you're not
can
having to
too.
pay the quarterback. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and so yeah,
I just you talked a lot about from the coaches in the organization and how that affects the development of quarterback. I just wonder, do you think that if they do end up trading Terry McLaurin, which I think they'll eventually come to some kind of agreement because he's that important. But if they do end up trading him away, he ends up leaving. How much of a step back could Jaden McDaniels take this year without his number one receiver? Even though they, like I said, they it wouldn't be completely bare. They did trade for Debo Samuel this offseason too. I just
I
wonder
think
what kind of
I
impact
think
that
it's
could have.
huge, quite frankly. I really do. I think it can have a massive impact. And can you overcome it? Sure. Will it take a little bit of time? Yeah, it might, but it could be devastating, especially to a younger guy. Because what happens when he says he's his top guy? It means he trusts that guy on the field, and so he's going to look for him more, and he's going to have confidence that when he throws the ball and where he throws the ball, that the receiver's going to catch it. And some guys can't do that. Some wide receivers cannot catch the ball, which is weird, or catch it in a tough situation or catch it in a tough spot. You know, when it's easy and it's kind of in the right situation, fine. But when it's a third down or a critical moment, or you're throwing a pass into the end zone, and you want to know that you have a guy that you can throw to that matters, and that he'll make plays for you. And that it takes time to develop. That takes practice time. It takes game experience to gain that chemistry and to gain that um, confidence with a guy, and competency even, and just to throw it away and say it's not going to have an impact is foolish, because it absolutely has an impact. There's no question. All
If
right. Speaking of
yeah,
impacts, we've hit a moment here where we need to take a break. So I think that's what we're going to do, and we'll take a break here. Get a PGA Tour update. The playoffs are moving along at a crazy pace. When the Sean O'Connell Show returns here on ESPN 792.1 FM. All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It's the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk and home of your Utes. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today, and so glad to be a part of your show. Hey, the PGA Tour leaderboard update, of course, is brought to you. It's the BMW Championship. It's the second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. It's brought to you by Uinta Golf. Dominate the tee with the Titleist GT medals and experience faster speed with longer, straighter drives at Uinta Golf. Apparently, someone's winning and someone's losing. What do you got on a leaderboard there for us, James?
Robert McIntyre is pulling away here in day 2, Scott. He is 14 under, and he's still got one more hole to play, so we got a chance to go even lower than that. In second are a couple of guys that you may have heard of. The number 1 player in the world, Scotty Scheffler, Hideki Matsuyama. They're both at 7 under. I erroneously said Scotty Scheffler's not in the field yesterday. I missed him, I guess, because he's in second place. So my bad there. And yesterday's update, Tommy Fleetwood, Ludwig Oberg, both tied for 4th at 6 under. Harry Hall is part of the group that's tied for 6th at 5 under. Michael Kim and Victor Hovland are in the next group down, tied for 8th at 4 under. And then a few guys, including Ricky Fowler, rounding out the top 10 at 3 under. Reminder to everyone, Tony Finau did not – he got eliminated from the FedEx Cup playoffs after last week's St. Jude Championship. He fell out of the top 50 in the FedEx Cup's point standings, so he is not competing this week. His season's done. We'll see if he is he going to compete in the Ryder Cup? I'm not sure about that, Scott.
I don't know.
I'm
not sure if he's one of those
sure if
players
he's on the
this point,
team.
but, yeah.
But anyway, if he is, that'll be probably the next tournament that he'll be involved in. If not, his season's over till next year, unfortunately for Tony Finau. But yeah, Robert McIntyre he's 7 shots up on the next guy in the BMW Championship. Good for him.
There you go. Yeah, Ricky Fowler's kind of making a little bit of a resurgence in his career. He was a guy that was really hot, and then he was not, and it looks like he's coming back a little bit. So much more when the Sean O'Connell Show returns here. We've got some really cool headlines of stuff that we're going to chat about around the corner, and of course, OC is going to join us to air some grievances. And I have a grievance to air, so I'm looking forward to that. Maybe you do as well. Text in. Maybe you have a grievance and you just like to vent your grievance with us on Friday. So
yeah, 877-353-0700 is that text number. Get them ready.
There you go. All right. When we return, we're gonna air grievances and we're gonna talk about hot headlines on the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. We are proud to be a part of the Utah ESPN radio network, and we are Utah's #1 sports talk. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today. So happy to be here, to be a part of your day, your weekend. Again, if you missed anything that we talk about, it's okay. Go to technology. Technology will help you through anything. Anything that happens, you can. Technology allows you to hear us all the time. And by the way, it's free. ESPN700sports.com. You can live stream ESPN 700 app. You can get at any wherever you get your app stores, and you can get the podcast version of the show. Of course, you can also go on YouTube at ESPN 700 Sports Utah. So much fun, and so we're gonna do this show. I like this kind of party. I remember Mike Singletary saying that. I like this kind of party. I'm gonna be here all day. I do. I like this kind of show. It's just vibing off a lot of these really crazy headlines and things that are going on in the world of sports, and even a little bit of pop culture and culture and just culture club. But pretty much anything we're going to talk about. So this one really got my attention, and this story, there's something really deep going on here. There's something really wrong here. The NFLPA, which to me is just as a former NFL player, and it's the NFL Players Association, is a hot mess. And I think it's always been that way. Feels a little bit sleazy. Feels a little bit corrupt. I can't say that I never went, oh man, I really trust these people. They really have our best interest at heart. I never ever felt that way. I still don't today, and it's kind of a terrible thing. It feels like the people that are running it are in bed with the NFL, which I've always felt has been a thing, and it's not supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be the players represent the players, and then the management represents the management, and they're different, and they're not. So Heather McPhee, who's been there for 17 years as legal counsel, wrote a memo about, hey, we could be in trouble here. And the Lloyd Howell, who stepped down, of course, he was on the board of the company that was actually trying to sell things to the owners. And they were actually they were approving things so the board members could actually get compensation. And she's like, this is bad. This is a bad look. Well, guess what happened to Heather McPhee? She was put on administrative paid leave. Why? For being a bad person. She was sent to HR, and she was toxic in the work environment, and they gave a whole list of reasons why she was no longer allowed. And what it means, I don't think it's for an ever thing, but her memo actually got the whole ball rolling with the FBI and their probe into these issues with the NFLPA, which are really bad. And so she was actually put on leave. So you have to, it's like a pretty reasonable person. Now, these are accusations, so allegedly, I'm not saying that they've happened, but it's pretty easy to put two and two together and come up with, hey, the answer is 4. And the answer of 4 is kind of a bad thing, and it's a bad look for the NFLPA. It just doesn't look good, and none of it looks good. And then you start to get into here's why it all doesn't look good. Okay, so if the Players Association is in cahoots with the NFL, and the NFL is now doing things and making decisions that impact the players, all in the name of preserving and protecting their profit margin, then you start to question, well, is the NFL actually authentic? That's why that's why being honest and not creating these conflicts of interest and not putting people in a position that they're going to get compromised, and you get compromised when money's involved. People just, they go, That's why you get embezzlement. That's why you have all these things where people just, for whatever reason, when they have access to money, they just want to take a little bit for themselves, and they create structures where people go, um, kind of, hey, throw me a bone here, or give me a little bit of money, or give me a little kickback or something. And then the league, now people go, well, is your game even real? Or are you kind of on the take with whomever or whatever, or and then all these accusations of referees calling plays and favoring certain teams over other teams, and you don't want to have that. And that's where this stuff kind of all leads to. And so being upright, being forthright about it is really the best policy. And it looks like um this woman was potentially unauthorized, or not unauthorized, but she was was she really being a bad employee, or is she just, they're just like, hey, we're going to set an example with you, and we're going to try to silence you and do all these things. So it's not a good look no matter what. And clearly there's a whole lot more to this story that will probably come out and we'll probably hear about, and hopefully they can get this resolved and move forward in a, shall we say, an honest way. I hope so.
Yeah, and the other thing that why this is a problem is just simply that if the union is in cahoots with the management, the league in this case, that they're supposed to be fundamentally at odds with in because of their representing the players, not the league. Like there's the players aren't getting what they need out of that then.
No.
Like that's the whole purpose behind a union is for the players, the labor to have a voice when it comes to management decisions, right? And if there's these kind of conflicts of interest that led to uh, Howell's resignation, to J.C. Tretter's resignation, the former president of the Players Association, and now this situation with legal counsel, you're not doing right by the people you're representing, and it's going to be even. It's already the players are already. It's already a big thing to overcome for them to get big wins in labor negotiations and in CBA talks.
Well, yeah.
This makes it even harder because now your union is against you as well. Like
Yeah,
that's the other part of this that's just really troubling from the player's perspective.
you don't know if you're negotiating in good faith.
Yeah.
And I think the example they've used is the Deshaun Watson, where he got his full salary guaranteed, and the NFL said, well, allegedly or supposedly, there was some concern that the league went around and said, do not guarantee contracts 100% for these players.
Yeah,
And
it
and
affected
and
Lamar Jackson's contract negotiations that offseason. It affected Kyler Murray's. It just crazy that a union could behave like
and
that.
and you also, with the a new collective bargaining agreement is going to come up in a few years, and the percentage of revenue that the players are going to have access to, is because the NFL is extremely wealthy, and the players are a big part of the success of it. And so finding, just, you want to just know you're dealing in good faith with things. The problem so much is that I don't know that the players know what's going on. I don't know if they know, if they have a good leader or not, because the players aren't really that well versed, or the careers aren't long enough, or they don't really understand the issues that are before them, and until probably the time they retire, and then they go, oh, I wish I had known that earlier, because I can see how this is a problem, and it's a real problem, and it's not going away. I mean, this is the third or fourth article and an issue that's come out of this thing, and it certainly seems it's going a lot a lot worse than it is actually getting resolved. And you hope ultimately at the end that it does get resolved in a, I guess, in a healthy way. Okay, so that was an interesting headline. Here's another one. And it kind of gives you an indication of maybe where our Utah Jazz are. So the NBA schedule has fully come out now. Uh, did I talk about that here on Sean's show about my? I don't think I did. So well,
Yeah,
we'll
it
talk
came
about
out. It came out after the show ended yesterday, so we hadn't had a
yeah,
chance
but
to talk about it here.
there was one that came out about the Christmas Day games.
Oh,
So
the
they
Christmas
announced all the
game slate. Yeah,
holiday
that
games.
that came out a couple or a
And
week ago or so.
and I have a solution. Maybe I'll share it here on the show. But really quick, the Jazz, they have one nationally televised game this year. Now, what that means is probably by rule that they have to at least give you one game. Every team has to at least be on television once. And if it wasn't the rule, they probably wouldn't be on television at all. Again, I'm speculating. It's like because TV goes where the interest is, and there's not going to be a lot of interest in the Utah Jazz. And all it tells you, if you're not on television, your team's not very good. And that's probably going to be the case for the Jazz. I mean, it may be exciting to watch some of these young players develop and turn the ball over and fumble and bumble and stumble and figure themselves out. But the Jazz are in no position whatsoever to compete to make the playoffs. To be, I think they'll be competitive. They'll try hard. They'll do all that stuff, but they just don't have the experience or the talent to compete for the playoffs. And my prediction is Larry Markkinen is gone before the end of the season. And I'm sad. It's sad to say that because I just don't think. I think there's value in him and trading him. I don't know how they show his complete value because they haven't played him for a year and a half now. Uh, Load management issues. I just think that they could get value out of Larry Markkinen and because I don't think his window of success will match the time it's going to take the Jazz to build their team. So that's just my personal prediction. But let me explain because you'll find this interesting,
Yeah. Well,
James.
so you
About
had a
my
solution for
I
Christmas
have a
Day?
strategy for the NBA,
Okay.
and I believe it will actually help the WNBA at the same time.
Okay.
So you've got no one cares about the NBA in October or November, and they do their little league,
Do the NBA Cup?
tournament.
They do
Yeah,
that
who
November,
cares
starting
about it?
in
No one cares.
November.
It's
Yeah.
just stupid. It's contrived. Everyone knows it's contrived, and when it's contrived, we're smarter than that. We're not buying into that BS. Do the players really care? And does the NBA really care? They don't. So don't start your season until Christmas Day should be the opening day of the NBA. Start your season later. Okay. And along with starting your season later, have your season combined with the WNBA. Because right now the WNBA goes, well, the reason we're in the summer is because we don't want to compete against everyone else. And so these women want to be paid like what we should be paid. Well, then compete on the same time, the same interest level as the men.
So, a little clarification with that, Scott. The reason why WNBA is in the summertime is because it was the owners when they created the WNBA, and there might be other reasons why it stayed in the summertime, but the reason that it originally was scheduled to be then is so that the owners could have their arenas have events during the summertime that could fill their arenas because there wasn't a whole lot other than like concerts and stuff. So this is giving more events to fill those arenas, and they've kept it in the summertime because that's just when it's traditionally been.
Well, nobody's going to the arenas now, so that was a bad decision.
Yeah.
No one wants to go in the summer, and I'm sure it's as much that they don't want to compete. Regardless, here it's basically been around forever, and no one watches and no one cares. And the only reason people tune into the WNBA is for Caitlin Clark. That's it. Nobody else.
Yeah,
right now. Okay?
the Indiana's filling their arena.
So here's what you do. You have the WNBA because the NBA is kind of like funding this
Yeah.
and supplementing it. So why not have a WNBA game right before you have an NBA game? Have them on the same night, and you can work out the schedule, and even maybe even have your ticket holders, like, they get a special, they get a discount, they get whatever, and so you come out and you get a 2 for 1 special, you get something, you pay, and then you get more interest in it. You get the interest happening when people are interested in watching. Like, a lot of people aren't really interested, even if it is the WNBA, whatever, they're still not totally interested in watching because it's the summertime. And they,
Stuff to do outside.
they're doing a lot of other things. And so have it when basketball's supposed to happen. And because the Christmas time is such a beautiful time to start the season, and then have the season go into the summer later. And I know seems like a bit of a contradiction, but when you're having championships kind of into the summer, you're going to have more interest in your arenas if these owners, like you just said, could get people into their arenas in the summer when nothing's happening. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you have an
People
opportunity.
show up for playoff games in the summertime.
They will. They'll watch championships. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of championships that happen in the summer that people are really interested in, and they'll do it. But it would really build a following, an interest on the WNBA. So that's my solution for all of the problems with the WNBA and the NBA. Is to actually have them play together at the same time, but not at the same time, but same days, just different times.
Yeah, and even if that was something that couldn't get couldn't get enough votes for it, even having them staying as separate seasons, if you started the NBA in December and it went through July or early August, then the WNBA season started, you would have the WNBA season end in October and November, when people are more interested in going inside to watch sports, right? And
That's
so
a solution.
That's something else to be done. If you don't have enough people to be like, yeah, let's do them at the same time. Your idea, I think either way, it could probably help the WNBA if the NBA started on Christmas. I think that's something people have been pining for a long time, Scott.
I know.
And they had it
right.
The 1 year after the COVID season, after the COVID season, they did it that way, and it ended up being. I mean, I thought the calendar ended up being really good for the NBA, but then they went right back to the starting in October. So I'm not sure it'll ever happen, but it does feel like a no-brainer.
Well, and part of my thought for having them coincide with each other is that, and maybe ultimately you switch them off, like, because that's not a bad idea to have them start after the NBA. But it was that people who are interested in basketball are going to come to an NBA game, and why not some of those people? It's going to be more than what they're having now.
They'll get exposed to women's basketball too, and be like, "Hey, I think I'll go to more of these women's games."
See, it's called happy fish. It's a happy fish theory, and the happy fish is, and I learned this actually when I lived in Florida, and so fly fishing in the ocean, you fish for tarpon, and there's a place in the Florida Keys but the tarpon are chased by sharks, and so the sharks will eat the tarpon. And they'll eat, and the only way to fish for these tarpon is in shallow water, and they come into the shallow water to feed, but they get really nervous in certain areas in the shallow water because the sharks can kind of pin them up against the beach and eat them. So they want to be in this little spot where it's kind of a deep drop off. They can escape, but they're right there in a shallow where they can feed. And so, and if you find where the fish are happy then, because they know they want to eat, they have to eat, but they also know they can escape. So it's finding happy fish and where they are. And that's kind of the theory with these fans. They're at an NBA game. They want to watch basketball. They're there. And so, why not partake of this WNBA thing while I'm here being a happy fish watching? So that's my happy fish theory.
Yeah.
I like that, didn't you?
Yeah, I do like the happy fish theory. I had not heard that. So but you make them unhappy because you're catching them.
Well, and they're okay, but then you let them go.
But then you let them go, and then they're happy again.
See, and that's the thing. We're going to catch you. Like we're going to make you watch this WNBA, but
We're
we'll
gonna make
let
you
you
pay
go.
for it too.
We'll let you go to the NBA game when you're
Yeah.
done. So
There
yeah,
you go.
I like it. All right. Let's take, I believe we have OC because I've wanted to share this grievance all day long. I've been holding off on it for this very moment. He's in Charlotte with the PFL. So hopefully we're going to get OC on
We are.
to air our
And
grievances.
we have we have someone who has a grievance with you regarding their NFL fandom, which is originally because of you too. That's a great grievance to share. Yeah,
can't wait to hear this. This will
we've
be
got
good.
one that's texted in. We want to hear from everyone else too. If you have a grievance and you've not texted us 877-353-0700, please do, and we will share that on the other side along with ours.
All right. Let's take a break. We'll be back here with Sean O'Connell on the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792 on FM. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean O'Connell. However, we have Sean O'Connell on the phone from Charlotte, North Carolina, where he's at the PFL World Championships, which air on ESPN and ESPN Plus. Sean, welcome to your show. How's your day?
My day's going great, Scott. Thanks for holding it down as always. Charlotte is a cool town, as I'm sure you're well aware. So it's good to be here and looking forward to the fights.
So what can we expect from the fights tonight?
Well, we got 3 tournament championship fights. We got the bantamweights, which is 135ers, women's flyweights, 125ers, and we got lightweights. So the small, fast fighters, you're probably going to see a lot of movement, a lot of spinning, a lot of crazy takedown attempts, and high-paced fights in 3 different weight classes. So should be fun. It's one if you're new to the sport of mixed martial arts and you're not necessarily into all the nuance of ground game and wrestling and stuff like that. This would be a good one to watch because these people never get tired and are constantly moving. So should be a fun one. And the winners get a belt and $500,000 straight into their bank account. So it's life-changing stuff for a lot of these fighters.
They talk about championships like in basketball and football and whatever, and you get a ring. So is the belt is that kind of the equivalent of the ring for fighters? Do they have that same kind of drive and like wanting to have a belt?
Yes, you're 100% correct on that. And actually, I kind of want it to change. I want MMA, I want the fight world to also give rings because you can't wear those big obnoxious belts around. You can't go to like a function and carry it with you. It's too unwieldy. It's too ponderous. So I want us to be giving rings with the belts or rings instead of the belts to separate us from the rest of the combat sports world. But yeah, that's the mentality people have. They want the belts sometimes even more than they want the money. But the belt is what really kind of stamps your place in the history of the sport.
Interesting. I hadn't really thought about that until you just brought it up. And I'm like, oh, the belt's like a ring. Okay. I've been waiting all day for this. The airing of grievances. And I imagine that you have one. I know I do. And it kind of coincides with one of the topics that we were talking about today. But since it's your show, I'll let you decide who goes first. If you want to go first, I'll go first. You tell me.
I'm very eager to hear yours, so I want to give you more time for yours. So I'm going to air mine. I'm going to air it quickly.
Okay.
Here's something that drives me nuts, and it happens this time of year, Scott, where the equipment departments of our favorite college football teams or our least favorite college football teams, they start making the announcements about the uniforms that teams are going to wear.
Right.
And I air a grievance with blackout uniforms for any school, any team that does not already have black in the color scheme.
Ooh.
If you're Penn State, if you're UCLA, Nebraska just announced that they were doing a blackout uniform. Iowa State is doing a blackout uniform to open the season. You don't even have a smidgen of black in your scheme. Not the writing. I guess Iowa State might have in an alternate logo, there might be a little black on the beak of the hawk that is a cyclone or whatever. But it's borderline for Utah to have those blackout uniforms because the only place that black really exists in the color scheme is in the drum and feather. But that still counts. So they can wear blackout uniforms. If you're BYU, you can't have a blackout uniform. If you're Stanford or Notre Dame, you cannot have a blackout uniform. Grievance with blackout uniforms for teams that don't have black anywhere near their school identity.
I actually like that, and I do. You have. I mean, why not just have all the colors of your predominant color? Like one of the most powerful. You mentioned Penn State, so when they have whiteout games at Penn State, they're incredible. It's going to induce that same kind of excitement, and everyone wears white, and it's a tradition that a lot of people who aren't even necessarily Penn State fans but college football fans, they'll travel across the country just to go to the whiteout game at Penn State. It's an experience, and kind of embracing and rolling into who you are. You think of BYU. I'm not going to say that comment, but um, to have a blue out, because they're blue or whatever. And I just think it goes a lot further than trying to. And I love your grievance. I really agree with it, and I think you just get further if you wanted to just go one color. Go one color that's your color. I even think the red for Utah would be phenomenal. Just a sea of red would be incredible. I think it's going to be as powerful as anything they could do. So I like it.
That's my favorite. When Utah goes all red, red helmet, red jersey, red pants, red socks, red shoes. That's my favorite Utah uniform. My favorite Utah helmet ever is the one that's behind you in the studio, if you're in studio today, where it's the matte red finish with the red chrome drum and feather oversized. I think that's the coolest helmet they've ever worn. Red on red on red looks amazing for the Utes. They've won me over with some of the white helmets, and they've won me over with some of the blackout games, but nothing will ever beat the crimson for me for Utah. And I think, like you said, it should be the same for BYU. I think UCLA should never have even a speck of black on their uniforms. It's iconic when they've got those powder blues and golds. Stick with that. Not everybody needs a blackout uniform. Leave it to Oregon and Maryland and the teams that do all the crazy stuff.
All right, Scott, you go ahead and air yours, but afterwards, I want to get to our listener grievance that's with you.
Oh,
Scott Mitchell.
Well,
but you can go first.
Someone has a grievance with me. We'll take a number. Geez, I'm sure there's a lot of people who have a grievance with me. So my grievance is I got to get out of bed every day. And there's this whole thing about NFL players were talking about their careers and the toll that it's taken on their bodies. And I'm reminded of that toll every day. And I wish I didn't have to get out of bed. I wish that I could actually just, wake up and already be out of bed, because there's this moment, and it doesn't last all day, but it lasts about, anywhere from like 2 to 5 minutes. And it's when I roll to the side of the bed and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, and I just hurt. I just have pain, and I have pain in just, it's like, I have this pain in my shoulder now that's just crept in, and I don't know where it came from, but it's just another thing. And it's like pretty much any joint that's on my body. The only thing that doesn't hurt is my head. Like my brain is actually the only thing, but as the older I get, the more I'm feeling the toll on my body. And so my grievance is that I have to get out of bed every day, and I wish I could just wake up already up and moving around. There you have it.
You should invent. You know how they have those like beds that you can elevate the feet, or they can elevate the head part of the bed. You should have one that does it laterally, so it'll just roll you out of bed. You just push the button.
And, it just dumps you out of bed.
It tilts sideways and just dumps you out of bed.
I don't know if you remember the Jetsons. I think they had a conveyor belt where it literally it would dump you out on a conveyor belt, and it would shower you. You would run into your clothes, and your clothes would just get put on, and your shoes and everything, and off you go. And I'm sure we have the technology available today that just throw me out on a conveyor belt and just get me ready for the day, so I don't have to do it. That's what I want for Christmas this year is to be thrown onto a conveyor belt that just does all the work for me. I want AI to just take over my life.
The Mitchell morning solution, home morning solution.
Yeah.
Is that what we got to look forward to from that?
Yeah. We'll sell it on Amazon. I like it. All right, James, what grievance does someone have with me?
So
I can't wait.
So here it is. I have a grievance with Scott Mitchell. At the time, he was about the only Ute in the NFL at the time he became an NFL fan. As such, I am a lifelong Lions fan since the 7th grade. Until the last 2 years, who knew that my best years would be when number 19 was under center? All those dark years, should I blame number 19 for drawing me in, or should I be happy that I made an investment and still own likely the largest selection of Scott Mitchell rookie cards? So I guess it sounds like he has a grievance that you made him a Lions fan, Scott.
That's what it sounds. and I'm sorry about that, and because Lions fans, I feel sorry for Lions fans. They've had a long suffering drought, and it's a great sports city. It really is, and but they've gotten bitter, and I felt the wrath of their bitterness for years when I was there. In fact, I couldn't leave my home. I was under like the witness protection program, hidden identity. I had bodyguards. I'm half joking on that, but half not. It was a crazy experience. Look, the Lions are doing good now, and
It's paying off
I'm
now,
I'm excited
Texter.
for.
Paying off
I
now.
picked him as my Super Bowl contestant. I actually picked him to win the Super Bowl this year, and they're one of the few teams that haven't even made it to the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
I do hope that the Lions come through, and I appreciate your fandom. By the way,
I think
it's
you
not easy being a loyal fan in the world today, and so many people are fickle, and they just go with the people that win all the time. So you've gained a lot of character, a lot of loyalty, a lot of fortitude because of your choosing the Lions as a fan. So you've gained so much more in your personal integrity than you could have in winning championships.
Scott, do you want me to share off air, of course, the his number so that he might be able to send some of his rookie cards to you to get signed? Is that something you'd like me to do? To reward this guy's
I'm happy to
lifelong
sign the
fandom?
cards. Just send them in just say Scott Mitchell, football player, and they'll get.
That's a
to me.
good point. You've said that works. That's
It
worked
totally
over the
works.
years.
Yeah, we'll chat off.
OC, have you ever had mail come to you for Utah combat fighter, MMA fighter?
No, but you know what is actually pretty crazy is I mean, not a lot of people out there want Sean O'Connell's autograph, but probably 2 weeks ago, and an envelope showed up at my house, at my residence, with no letter inside, nothing to explain, just my lone trading card from my UFC days, and just a return paid, postage paid, stamped envelope with just the card, and nothing like, hey, would you please sign this card? Just trading card and an envelope to send it back in. And I was like, how did this wacko get my home address? But there it is.
Oh, they'll find you. They will find. They've found me everywhere I've lived. They have found me, and quickly too, mind you. Like when
That
I'm
was OC
like
Scott Mitchell moment.
Yeah. Yeah. It was actually me, OC. I sent the card to you. I was hoping you'd sign it.
Okay. In that case, I'll sign it and send it back to your alter ego Omar or whatever the person's name is on there.
I had a secret name when I played football, by the way.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah.
Is that
Ron,
something?
like Michael Vick used to go by Ron Mexico or whatever?
Yeah. And so when the teams you go in the hotel and you had to check into a name. And so mine was Leroy Gatewood. That was my fake name. And the guy who it was his childhood best friend. And so the guy who made all the hotel arrangements for our team, he's like, you'll be Leroy Gatewood, because you'd have people call if you're under your name, and they call to harass you or to do all kinds of crazy stuff. So I had a pseudo name to check into hotels. That was Leroy.
I thought your secret hotel name was your middle name and then the street you grew up on.
My middle name and the street that I grew up on?
Yeah, I would be Michael Countrywood, which is a really cool name.
Oh,
That's pretty good.
So my middle name is actually Scott. So I could just go by my first name, which is William.
And you grew up on Mitchell Boulevard, so
right.
Your name is just Scott Mitchell.
Yeah, Scott Mitchell.
See,
that doesn't work.
Mine would
actually,
be...
I would be. So my middle name, I'd be Scott 200 South.
Yeah, I was.
So I'd be number. I wasn't fortunate enough to live on a street that had a name to it, Sean.
Hey, Scott South or even Scott 200 is a pretty awesome fake name.
That would be good. Yeah.
Bill 200, because you said your first name's actually William.
Yeah, that would be.
Did not know
awesome.
that you went by your middle name, Scott. That's a new thing.
Yeah, well, my dad's William. Both grandpas on mom and dad's side are Williams, and both great grandpas
Okay.
on mom and so it was confusing. and so they just called me Scott. So I wouldn't, and I'm like, why didn't you just name me Scott then instead of William? And it's been hard my whole life, by the way, because you go to school and you have to give your first given name, and so every year it's like William Mitchell. I go, that's me. I go by Scott. It's just a long story. So
So in the football booth, should it be Bill and Bill in the booth starting
yeah,
this year? Should we do that?
yeah. I'm starting to. I want to change my name. I'm started. I want to be called Billy Mitchell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Grievance. You cannot change your name and your identity and what people are supposed to call you in your 50s. You can't do it.
Grievance.
I want to be called Chad Ocho Cinco. I'm going to change my name.
Mitchell.
That's what it Ocho Cinco. Actually, what would be Ocho? It'd be Uno. What's nine? What's nine in Nueve? Uno Nueve. Mitchell.
Uno Nueve.
That's not bad. That has a flow to it.
Couple more texted in here as we've been talking. Grievance, why is it still hot? I'm done feeling like I'm burning alive when I walk outside. Well, Grievance, it's because it's August. You should know it's still hot in August, but I understand.
It's hard to get into football season when it's still stingy and warm like that, and when you start to get that kind of that feel in the air, that autumn feel in the air. It feels like we're starting everything so much earlier than we used to. It just school, football, all of it seems a lot earlier. When we broadcast the football games, we go into the booth and it's early August or just beginning of September, and I'm just like, by the time we get out of here in November, it's going to be freezing cold. So enjoy the heat while you got it. That's all I got to say. All right, what else you got, James?
Let's see. Grievance with people that don't put shopping carts into where they go. I see you with the BYU shirt and jorts, thinking you're such a bad boy. Just stop. I have too many dents from that. I'm with this, Grievance. Okay, it is not hard to walk the couple hundred feet at the most to the cart caddy. Like just put it away. Also, when people leave them in the parking lots, well, now I can't park there. So, or in the parking spots, I should say. So, put your cart away. It's not hard.
I always try to park next to the cart, the cart bin.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I take a cart and then I get to my car and I just put it right there. It's easy.
Do that.
That's how I think.
There was actually back when the ESPN Radio Nightly show was Freddie and Fitzsimmons. It's still Ian Fitzsimmons, but it's got a different co-host now. He read a thesis from someone he knew that was in college. Someone wrote a thesis about about whether or not people put their cart away in the cart corral, cart caddy, whatever you want to call it, cart bin, is an indication of whether or not you need governing. You need more or less governing in your life. If you can do it on your own, you don't need as many laws as another person does. If you don't, you need more government oversight. It was hilarious. Anyway.
It sounds like people who don't put their carts in are bad people or they're BYU fans. That's what it sounds like to me. So
or they wear jorts like OC.
Yeah, it's one of those two. All right, Sean, we're gonna let you go. Have fun in Charlotte and safe travels home.
All right, thanks for holding it down, and thanks for letting me air my grievance about blackout uniforms. Go Utes.
Yeah, that was a great one. Thank you. All right, we're going to take a break. We come back. We're going to wrap this baby up right around the corner, right here on the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 792.1 FM. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792 on FM. So glad you could join the show. We are Utah's #1 sports talk and the home of the Utes. Fun conversation there with OC about the airing of grievances. And I like him. I like it's tough to be a Lions fan, but there's one subject that we didn't talk about today. And there's a couple questions I want to ask you before we leave here, James. One is an article came out with the 25 most important people in college football this year. So the 25 most interesting people in college football. And I'm going to ask you, who do you think is your most interesting person in college football this year, James?
I mean, mine's not going to be off the board very much, but I think that it's hard not to say Arch Manning in this one. And the whole premise of the article is to say there's more people other than Arch Manning that's interesting.
Right.
But it's like he's a Manning, first of all. Secondly, other than a couple of starts he got last season against much lesser opponent, nowhere near SEC competition, we don't know how good he is. Like, he was awesome in those games, but like we don't know against really actually good opponents how good he is. And I'm just very curious about Arch. Now, I'm a Colts fan, as you know, so I have an affinity for the Mannings because of Peyton Manning. So that's the other part of it as to why he's interesting to me. I want to see if he's anything close to his brothers, and out of the brothers, if he's closer to, if he's great, if he's closer to Peyton or closer to Eli, because there's levels to that. So he's the most interesting guy to me. If I had to say someone else, which this article that's the point of this article. I mean, Bill Belichick at North Carolina, same kind of thing. We know he's great in the NFL, but we also know that without Tom Brady, he hasn't been as good, and we don't know. So there's one. He's not obviously going to have Tom Brady as quarterback at North Carolina, and two, we don't know how good he is how good he's going to be at the college level. So I would say those two, probably the most obvious two.
See, I think it's along the lines of Bill Belichick, not because it's Bill Belichick. I saw this thing this morning about John Gruden, and John Gruden's been very adamant that he wants to get back into coaching, but he wants to coach in college. And in my brain, I'm trying to think. I think John Gruden might be a good college coach, but you got a lot of well-known NFL people kind of headed toward colleges, and you have to wonder if it's because of the ability to get into NIL, and it's kind of an open, wild, wild west kind of thing, where if you have the money, you can really make a difference. So to me, he's interesting only because can he really turn something around at North Carolina through NIL? And Texas Tech is what's also interesting to me, because they spent more money than anyone. And they were one of these programs that maybe doesn't have the name like an Oregon or an Ohio State or Texas, and so they, but they got deep pockets, and can they entice people to go to Lubbock, Texas, and if they can, you're going to see more and more of it, and you're going to see more of a John Gruden. And John Gruden goes, because it's not John Gruden, it's a well-known, it's a wealthy donor that goes, give me, I'll give you an example. Kansas had a $300 million donation given to their school that they believe perpetually will actually give them funding for NIL through investments, through interest that you would make off of $300 million. And so they just the interest every year is just going to go to NIL, something along those lines. And what if Kansas says, "Hey, we want John Gruden," and they go, and the other side of it is these coaches, you can pay a ton of money to coaches these days, so it's very appealing. These coaches go, I don't have to deal with a lot of things I have to deal with in the NFL. And basically, it's the draft. I got the only way I get better is if we hope we draft the right players. Whereas in in college, it's like you can go get them, you just go find them, you go buy them whenever you want.
It's free
So
agency all the time. Yeah.
to me, and it's not for the reason, can Bill Belichick coach and all that stuff, but can they, can those schools that really went big into NIL, mm, can they move the needle? Can they win championships? And if they can, you see more of it. But if you can't, then maybe it starts heading back a different direction where players go, yeah, I'm going to go to traditional places. I'm going to go the place that's going to best prepare me for the NFL. That's the better route to go. So
I do like how with Belichick, big names like Belichick and Deion Sanders, a few years ago, going to Colorado and North Carolina, where it's like let's see if this big name guy who can coach can actually coach any program, right? Can they coach a program that has never really been that close to a national championship? Of course, not never for Colorado. They didn't win one. But it's been a long time for Colorado and North Carolina. Maybe they've won. Not that I'm aware of. It was a long time ago if they've ever won a national championship in football. So I do like that trend. And if John Gruden were to go to college, I think Kansas would be a great example of like a program that's in the Power Four, but also is not known for football. We got this all-time great coach. Let's see if he can actually make Kansas into a football power. I do like that trend.
Yeah. It'll be fascinating. No question about it.
You mentioned Texas Tech. Joey McGuire is on the athletics list as one of the 24 most interesting people in college football. I think it's a good call with all the money that they've spent. Scott, as you were talking about, this guy he coached him last year, but before this, he's been a very successful high school coach. In Texas, he's old. He's an older gentleman at this point. For a guy who's this new in college football, that's definitely that program is really interesting. But I think it's a good call to say Joey McGuire in and of himself is also interesting, being the guy to lead this program who fancies themselves as a new blood in college football with all this money.
They've been given. It's like, what do you need? And they go, well, this is what we need. There you have it. And so can you do it now? And that is something to say. I mean, even with Deion, they haven't been great at Colorado. I mean, they've been better,
right.
They
but
got
only
bowl
one year.
eligible. Yeah.
Only one year where they've been better. Yeah.
Yeah. But they are better. I mean, he produced a Heisman Trophy winner and he produced a 5th round draft pick in the quarterback. So that was something. I said that with tongue in cheek. All right, with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for tuning in to the show. Thanks, James. Coming up next is The Drive with Spence Checketts. Porter Larson and Andy Larson are filling in for Spence today. So again, hope you all have a great weekend. It's been a lot of fun being here with you. This is the Sean O'Connell Show. I am Scott Mitchell. This is ESPN 792 on FM. Until then, we'll see you then.